Hi folks, my name is Jim Aspel. I'm a board certified workers' compensation lawyer in Farmington, Connecticut, and I wanted to talk to you a minute today about the role of pre-existing conditions and whether or not those are a bar to recovery in a workers' compensation claim. Now, most of us are walking around with what could be considered a pre-existing condition. Many of us, as we get older, get arthritis in our back. It's a natural aging process that happens to all humans as we're getting older. The medical term for that is degenerative disc disease. It's a very common finding on x-rays. Now, trial lawyers don't call it degenerative disc disease because that's a scary medical term. We refer to it as a natural aging process in the back. And I think it's fair to say that if you ask any orthopedic surgeon, they're all going to tell you that if you take your average 50-year-old, they're all going to have a degree of natural aging or degenerative disc disease in their back. Similarly, there's an aging process that goes on in the knees. As we get older, the cartilage wears down, and in most people anyways, you get a certain degree of arthritis that sets up. Similarly, the shoulders, the hips, any moving part typically is prone to having wear and tear as we get older. So that's considered a natural aging process or a pre-existing condition. We're all walking around with that. Most people are walking around with these pre-existing conditions and they don't even know they have them. Say you have this natural aging process in your back, for example, and you're going to work at Amazon and you're doing your day-to-day and you're lifting boxes and you're perfectly fine. You have no idea that you have this natural aging process going on unless somebody took an x-ray of your back and showed it to you. Similarly, if you're doing your job as a plumber, you're getting up and down off the floor working on pipes under a sink or what have you, you've got this pre-existing condition in your knees. You don't know it. If it's not bothering you, unless somebody takes an x-ray of your knee, you have no idea that this is a problem. So what happens then is one day on the job, you lift a box that was unexpectedly heavy, or you get up in an unusual manner, and unfortunately we become less limber as we get older. You feel a pop, or suddenly you have the onset of low back pain that you didn't feel that morning when you got up. In that instance, notwithstanding the fact that you had this pre-existing condition, you may be eligible to bring a claim for workers' compensation. So in that instance, if you suddenly have this new onset of back pain or knee pain or shoulder pain, whatever it happens to be, what we suggest you do, and what if you get an attorney they're going to do, is they're going to file a Form 30C claim for compensation. And we're going to say that you had this on-the-job injury and you're suffering and you're entitled to benefits. In all likelihood, you're going to go to the doctor and an x-ray is typically going to be taken, and lo and behold, they're going to tell you, oh, well, you know what, Mr. Jones, you have degenerative disc disease. And you're going to go, oh my God, I didn't have degenerative disc disease. I was totally fine. And the fact of the matter is you were walking around with it the whole time. You just didn't know it. And this work activity, the lifting the box or the twisting in an unusual manner or jumping off a tailgate or those things that you used to be able to do without any problem, suddenly because you happen to do it the wrong way or because you're getting older, you now have a pain and you have a condition that needs medical treatment. And in my opinion, you have a Connecticut workers' compensation case and you're going to be entitled to compensation. So it really becomes a matter of causation. And in that instance, if you have that scenario, I would strongly suggest that it's time for you to get a workers' compensation attorney, because what needs to happen is the lawyer is going to have to write to the doctor and get what we call a causation opinion. So in other words, we have to write to Dr. Jones and we say, we're representing Mrs. Smith and we understand that she had this pre-existing degenerative disc disease or natural aging process in her back, or Mr. Smith had arthritis in his knee, but he was perfectly fine. Doctor, can it be said to a reasonable degree of medical probability that the work activities at Amazon or Bob's Plumbing or UPS or wherever it is you happen to feel this pain can be considered a substantial contributing factor in aggravating the condition? And so long as the doctor writes us back and says, yeah, Attorney Aspel, he had this degenerative disc disease, but the work activities, particularly this incident that happened on whatever day you're asking about, that aggravated or lit up the underlying condition, then we have our foot in the door and we're off and running to pursue that workers' compensation case. Doesn't necessarily mean that the insurance company for your employer's not going to get a second opinion and try to contest that. And there may be a bit of a medical legal battle that you're in store for, but again, my takeaway is it's definitely worth pursuing. So even though you're walking around with arthritis or sore knees or an occasional sore shoulder, that's an easy one. If that's your problem and suddenly it's become much worse because of something that's happened on the job, I would strongly suggest you file the claim for benefits and let us investigate it and see whether or not we can help you out. If you have any questions about pre-existing conditions and their role in workers' comp, feel free to give me a call at any time. We're in Farmington, Connecticut, 860-523-8783. You can check out our website. It's www.aspbellaw.com. There's a lot of good information on there, and I believe there's a page or two about pre-existing conditions that talk a little bit about what I'm explaining in this video. If you like this and found it at all helpful, please give it a thumbs up. I would invite you to subscribe to the channel. It does help us, and we do occasionally drop workers' compensation content from time to time to try to help you out with some of the more common questions that we encounter here in the practice in Farmington. Okay? Hope you have a good afternoon, and thanks.